So you want to be funny at the table. When and where? Comedy is powerful. I was a comedian before I started to do anything with D&D. Improv, stand-up, different skills, and both of these are applicable to D&D in different ways. It gives you a way to voice ideas, explore topics that may be boring or controversial, but doing so in a way that opens up people's minds. Like the great Bo Burnham said, you can tell them anything if you just make it funny, make it rhyme. But when you're dealing with those topics, the hard part is making it funny. So when it comes to bringing comedy to the table, no joke is perfectly funny in a vacuum. You can have the most well-written, highest-rated joke from every comedian in the world, perfect from start to finish, and still bomb. That's just how it is. There's a lot of variables that can screw up the reception of the joke, so keep that in mind when you endeavor to make people laugh at the table. Is this the right place for it? Is this the right time for it? Let's say we have the perfect joke. We tell it. Crickets. Why? Well, you told it in English, and everyone here only speaks Chinese. Or maybe you told it at a funeral, and nobody was about it while they were mourning. If you want to be funny at the table, you need to know the table. Is the DM on board with the type of funny you want to be? Are the other players on board with it? There's types of funny that work with a serious campaign. There's types of funny that don't. There's also degrees of joking that work and don't. This is where communication is important. Talk with your DM and fellow players when you want to introduce a funnier or sillier character. Now, that's not the end-all be-all, because, well, they may be on board initially and then change their minds later on. Don't be offended by this. This is what any comedian goes through when they get on stage too. You start off a joke, and let's say it's a dirty one or a controversial one. You don't start it at 10. You start it at like a 6. Feel the audience out. If they're on board, if they're laughing at this point, you can keep going. Keep raising it just another notch, and you keep listening. The audience dictates how far you can go. You earn the right to go further by assuring the audience that it'll be good. You assure the audience that it'll be good by being good, by making them laugh. Once it feels like you've hit the peak, assuming you still have tags left, you adapt, you switch over. You don't keep beating the dead horse until everyone's against you. You do this at the table too. If you have a moment that's sillier, you have to keep everyone else in mind. If everyone else is loving it, then you can keep going. If people are starting to have that smile and nod reaction where they're just waiting for you to stop, then end it. Don't beg for laughs. You'll get them if you've earned them. If it feels like your funny isn't landing, then pivot away. At that point, in that moment, the other players might not be on board. The DM might not be on board. Communicate this. Check in with everyone. See if it's just that moment where your joke didn't land, where that moment didn't land, where maybe it was just a mismatch of tone and character, or if they're tired of that shtick altogether. Because sometimes it's just not the right time, not the right place, but then you go to the next one and it is. Communication is key. Because otherwise, you're the asshole who's ruining the funeral.